What's going on, guys? Bladezilla here, and today we're taking a look at a fairly new release, Quantum Ursus Blackwood in multi-row bearings. Pretty cool knife, and I think this particular one shows off, a good sign of things to come from Shirogorov. So, wanted to do a quick video. I hadn't seen anything else out on the internet on this particular knife because of the Blackwood that's in it. It is an entry-level knife for Shirogorov, and figured, hey, I got time. Let's get this guy up on the internet for a video. So, as a reminder, guys, everything that's featured on this channel is typically available on my website, bladezilla.ca. So, visit that website. Everything that I have is available in Canada and ready to go out of Calgary. So, a bunch of new products added this morning. Some stitches, custom Division 111, Vegas knife, an F95T from Blade Show, and a lot of Shirogorov stuff. So there you go, bladezilla.ca. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to look at this knife in obviously thorough detail. As a reminder, down low, you can sort this guy into 4K. I am filming it in 4K, so hopefully you can pick up on all the mistakes that are potentially made on a knife like this, because a good chunk of it's made by hand, and we'll get into that. So, and I guess I'm not actually making fun of Shirogorov, because let's be honest, I love Shirogorov. I'm a Shiro whore. What I'm saying is that when something's handmade, it's typically not as duplicated as something that's punched out of a machine over and over. So that was my sense of humor. Let's get on with it and stop talking random things out of my mouth. So, Quantum, look at this guy. How good does that look? Pretty daggone impressive, if I do say so myself. Let's get my tape measure here and take a look. As a reminder, guys, this is a pretty casual conversation. We're not going into incredible detail. We're just having a coffee or beer or whatever you want to have, and just tough blades. So, there we go. We're coming in at 8 3/4 roughly on the overall length, or whatever your eyes can see on that one. Blade length should be about 4 inches, or 95 mils. A little bit more on the Quantum, should be about 100, I think. So 4 1/8 to the center of the choil, which is a fairly big knife, right? Handle-wise, right in that 5-inch conversation, 4 3/4. Depending on where I move the measuring tape, it'll be pretty close. I know what you're thinking, guys. You know, is this knife too big for me? No, it's not. Now that we got that out of the way, the Shirogorov profile of the knife, it's a big blade size, but the way they put everything into the handle and it's thinner, it actually carries much smaller than the blade length kind of indicates. In terms of where this fits in the Shirogorov lineup, let's take a look at some comparables. So we've got a couple other just off the side of me here. Couple other Quantum Ursus knives. Ursus meaning machine ground blade, not hand ground blade. So very duplicatable on the grind. There's kind of your couple, and I've had a bunch of different versions of this. These are just the ones that I have access to in my little knife kit beside me. In the store right now, I think they do a number of different color configurations. Some blues. I think there's a green and an orange or something as well. But anyway. These are just the ones that I have. And then I've got some Quantiums, which are, if you're familiar with the F95 series, anytime they kind of put the TM on something, or I guess like the Hattie versus the F95, right? You're looking at a carbon front handle. So if I grab a Hattie here, you're putting a carbon front handle on it. Now, the Quantum, you're converting to a Quantium, right? So they're putting a G10 handle on it instead. So they're just changing things up, but it's essentially the same knife. In this case around, we're looking at G10 handles, milled as well. And I've done a video, I believe, on both of these guys. But G10, milled, machine ground, Chromax as well, which is right on the blade. And these guys are on multi-row bearings, which feel heavenly. Good Lord, heavenly. yeah, they feel incredible. Whereas some of the Quantums are still on single row bearings. Case in point was that black Quantum, this guy here. This is a single row bearing Quantum. Whereas now, at the same price point, they're giving you that Blackwood inlay, and it is on multi-row bearings. So, for those who don't know, the single row bearing in Shirogorov is pretty like a standard bearing when you're thinking out loud. It's, you know, a circle like this, gotcha. It's a circle like this, and it's ball bearings on a track, okay? Multi-row bearings, think of it as kind of 3 balls in a row and a pinwheel around that track to add kind of side-to-side stability on the interface between the metal and the titanium frame. It's more money. It tends to feel very similar. Like if I put this in your hand and then I put this in your hand and said, hey, which one's single and which one's double, you'd be hard-pressed to tell the difference. They both feel incredible, okay? The reason I bring this up, I feel like, and this is kind of going back to what I was mentioning at the start of the video, I feel like Shiro is starting to kind of pivot things to multi-row bearings all around. So I don't know this for a fact, but I'm curious when this Quantum NL, or whatever you want to call it, inlay, will become multi-row bearings in black. That's when I know things are changing. Because as I've seen now, I've gone through, I don't know, but how many, 5, 6, 8 of the blue inlay Quantums that came through, Quantum Ursus, and they've all been multi-row bearings, which is very interesting to me because they didn't increase anything on the price, and it's a more expensive feature. So anyway, food for thought. But anyway, I could show you a couple other Quantums here that I have just in my personal kit. So I've had the Monkey Edge frag pattern Quantum, which is on single row bearings, internally skeletonized as well, but no backspacer. And I have a E-Knives Quantum, which is, I believe, internally skeletonized multi-row bearings instead of single row. And once again, there's no backspacer. Sorry, I'm just having a little burp fest here. But a couple cool versions of a Quantum. And, you know, it seems to be the knife that they offer a bunch of varieties in to a bunch of different vendors. And, you know, you order, I imagine, 100 of them or something, and you can kind of get some customized stuff. So, which is cool. Maybe one day we'll do a Bladezilla one. Just with BZs everywhere, right? And then everything else, lowest end. I'm just kidding. You know, the beauty of the Blackwood, first of all, the fact that we see Blackwood tells me that, I don't know, a few years ago they made a standard wood version that had kind of like a, well, I don't know what they used, but it was more of a brown color, so that's kind of what I was getting at. So they had a wood inlay version, which seemed to do pretty well. My problem with wood has always been that it's kind of perfectly imperfect. Now, if you look at some of the, you know, Chris Reeve knives, you'll see they do their wood burl inlay, and they have all kinds of cool stuff. And I've seen some Thunderbird knives that had some real cool like knots that have been cut through. And you know, you take a cool, highly machined knife like this, and then all of a sudden you put like a completely random, you know, kind of like something that breaks up your eyes on the inlay, right? Like it's completely random what you get. And this one's pretty standard, right? You look at it and you can kind of see, okay, it's some imperfections, some spots and whatnot. And, you know, obviously going in and out of your pocket, that's going to kind of scuff up over time. But I think it's so cool. And if I'm buying a knife like this, do I want a G10 inlay or do I want to go wood? I don't know. They're the same price. Why not get both? Try them out. It's the same thing, right? Around the rest of the knife, though, so like I said, multi-row bearings, which you'll see, should say right on the inside here, above my finger, it should say MRBS. That's what that multi-row bearings is. So you get that as an upgrade, which is standard is pretty cool. On the frame itself, on the inside, it should be pretty lightly machined, if anything. The neons are kind of like that, the neon NLs, where compared to the Zero, it's a very light machining. But I think on this one, I'm just trying to look for my light here. I think on this one, it's just blank, if I'm looking at it here. Yes, so full tie slabs, no fancy milling internally, which is what you'd expect. Now if I compare that with, say, that Monkey Edge, look at the difference here. Okay, and this is why this guy is like several $100s more. Look at the inside of this one. There's pockets of milling, which takes out weight. Skeletonizing, which comes at a cost. So just keep that in the back of your mind. In terms of where this fits in the lineup, so we have the Quantum up top here. Let's grab our Stellar, which I don't think they've done a Stellar. No, not yet anyway. They haven't done. They haven't brought down any models of like an entry-level Stellar. So they've all been M390 or S90V on the first productions, or the high-end versions M398, Damasteel, etc. We have the Neon, which is the smallest of their production line, and that's kind of it. There is a 111, which is above that, obviously 111 mil blade length, not as a titanium folder, but other than custom division or full custom. But in production, this is kind of where Shiro's sweet spot is. In the Neon, they offer a bunch of variations of it in inlay. We've seen Burgundy, we've seen Crazy Micarta, a bunch of different ones. They tend to be all multi-row bearings standard. The Stellar step up right now is very young in its life and is kind of a split in between in size. And like I said, have been all M390 and titanium handles. I'm still waiting to see if they're going to do the Stellaris being the carbon fiber version of this. And also, I'm curious to see when they do a Chromax kind of entry-level version of this, which would be pretty freaking cool. And then the Quantum. Quantum F95, basically the same size, just different levels of detail. And then I guess, or I should say different design. I guess there's also an F3 and a Hattie. So here's an F3, which is, instead of a frame lock, it is a liner lock, which is kind of in the middle of the line as well, which is cool. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we'll grab that Hattie, which is an F95 with a carbon handle. So lots of cool things from Shirogorov. As always, they do incredible things with their knives. And if we want to look at, say, one more level up, we can go into kind of custom division territory, which I know we're comparing an entry level Quantum Ursus, but there would be a custom division Quantum for comparison. But the main thing to look at here is this. This knife is $4,000 US. This knife is, I think, $700, roughly somewhere in that area. Look at the design. Okay, a lot of different technologies, a lot of different blade steels and internal milling and bearing systems, all kinds of different features, fit and finish, but the design is essentially the same. What does that tell you? It tells you that it feels good in hand, tells you there's a lot of demand for it, and it tells you that it's a winner. Okay, this knife is this is called the Quantum Blue, which is also a terrific knife. Lots of milling, lots of machining, beautiful blade. Just a different tier, a different price point. But people who start with this will end up with this in usually a matter of years as you kind of get down that line and slowly lose your family over these knives. I'm just kidding. But please, when you buy this knife, factor in the cost of divorce, because it could happen. In terms of the rest of the knife, as we go around, it's basic. Titanium liners, multi-row bearings, really good jimping as well, really comfortable. The blade itself is Chromax, which is basically LMAX. Nice solid fit and finish to it. Super consistent grind, obviously, because it is machine ground. Just beautiful knife. Shirogorov bear right on the blade, which is nice and fitting, considering you gotta flex that. And then on the other side, it should say Chromax. And I've already getting little lint specks on here. The wood on the handle looks phenomenal on the inlay as well. But my favorite part of this knife has always been the pocket clip and how they do it, because it's just, you're getting a taste of the real expensive end of Shirogorov underneath this clip, right? And this is why you go from this to, maybe you try out a high-end production one. and then you try a special edition or a collaboration, and then you try a custom division. It's because when you start paying attention to these small details on the lock bar, these milling lines, and the clip, and how beautifully finished it is, it's at a whole different level than anything in this price point. You compare this knife with a Chris Reeves, with a Hinderer, with you know, like anything in that range. I would take this any day, especially in the action. And now that you've got the Blackwood inlay, it just looks so sick. And if I'm using a knife, like if I'm right now going, okay, I'm an average guy that just wants I love Shirogorov, love the fit and finish. I'm not using a $2,000 knife, a $4,000 knife. If I like a Quantum, I'd probably pick up a Quantum Ursus like this, or a Monkey Edge Frag, or an E-Knives. I'd get something like that where it's, you know, it's $700. You have all the ergonomics that you love and you've become used to, but now it's like, hey, look, I can use this thing and I'm not going to lose $1,000 on it immediately as soon as I get a little nick in the blade. So, you know, these are clear-cut winners in my books, the Ursus line. You get all the sick features, you know, the lock bar insert, right? Look at that, the nice bevel on it. It's super clean and well done. Over travel stop as well. You can take that right out from there, which is beautiful. The multi-row bearings, the super smooth float home action that Shirogorovs are like known unanimously for. It feels like a Shirogorov at a price point that's just like it's their entry level. But I would also kind of compare it this way. If you're looking at like a Volkswagen versus an Audi, okay? And you take a Volkswagen and you load it right up to the nines with full leather, air conditioning, you know, power moonroof, all this stuff. And you start comparing the price on that fully loaded Volkswagen to an entry-level Audi, you're at the same point. So that's kind of what I'm getting at here is like, to me, this is the entry-level Audi where you're getting features over and above some of the other brands' fully loaded ones. Right? And it's like it comes at a cost. But they go, oh, it's an Ursus. Oh, it can't be that good. Trust me, this is an Audi. This is a terrific knife. Or Mercedes, or whatever you want to call it. It's a great Lexus, you know, versus a Toyota. Super cool. I love the Bane mask, as David always put it. I don't know if David's still kicking around. David, if you're watching this, leave a comment, buddy. But the Bane mask... And look how tight things are here. Look how close that blade is. Isn't that just bananas? Like, these are tolerances that are ridiculous. So, if you put a standoff down there, you're not gonna have room to put it because it's just so tight in the handle. Like, that's what's so cool about this is the tolerances are just next level. You know. You can get away. Remember, like, these are workhorse knives as well. They are designed to be used. So they are totally field rebuildable. You know, they essentially are a flathead on these particular ones. Would you use a screwdriver? Probably not. I believe the screws here are steel versus on some of the other ones are titanium. You'll probably mar those up. You know, you could get away with using like a penny, you know, a credit card folded over on itself just to kind of add some structure to it, but you're just basically looking to, you know, you unscrew that, it comes out super easy. You unscrew that, bada bing, bada boom, Bob's your uncle. You're laughing. Your clip is actually attached internally as well. I don't know if we can see that inside, but just in the back here, you should be able to see a little screw inside there. So a nice little clean feature as well, but you're not going to have to rebuild these things. They're workhorses, man. I just can't get over how cool the wood is on these, because that's typically like wood. I'm assuming wood is going to be a more expensive item to add and tougher to work with to make it consistent than, say, G10 that you can just pump out all day long, batch after batch, and not have any problems. In terms of thickness, let me grab that. I think, if I'm a betting man, so here's your G10 Quantum Ursus. I'm not I'm not gonna, yeah, you know what, I'll say this. I think this is a thinner knife too. I think the inlays on this aren't as tall off of the handle itself. If you look at it, I'll try to roll it ever so slightly to get some light on it. I don't think these stick out as much. So in hand, maybe you're on a cusp of sizes. I think this one, yeah, it is. You can tell. This one feels a little fatter in hand, a little chunky boy. Which is funny, because if you look at it, like, it's close, it's very close, but look at how much those stick out on this Quantum Ursus. Just a bit. It's enough. It's enough to make a difference. And then on higher level models, they'll actually kind of modify the angling on these inlays as well. To kind of fit your hand, which is a nice little, I don't know if they advertise that, but they do change that. Super, super cool. And like I said, in hand, it feels like mom spaghetti. Just classic, timeless, no issues, reliable. Oh, that's just crisp as hell. You know, if you want a backspacer on this, it's going to add cost, so they do the standoff. You still can do your lanyard hole, right? Which is awesome. It's built into the frame on one side, but you can still do your lanyard, which is awesome. You know, backspacer, I'm trying to remember here when they did about a year ago, they reintroduced the Quantum. So, you know, the step up from this knife to, you know, internally milled version with M390, you're looking at almost double. So, you know, that's also a terrific knife, the Gen 2s. Love the Quantums, tons more milling, but you can have two of these. And now you're kind of into that category of, well, now you're at, I think they're, geez, $1,200, something like that, US. And same bearing system, same profile on the actual knife itself. So I think this is a banger of a deal. Now that it has the multi-row bearings on it, you know, for a user, sign me up all day long for this. So anyway, I wanted to do a short video on this today. I know it's already ran over 20 minutes. I'm sorry about that, but once this mouth gets rolling, it's tough to stop. So appreciate you guys stopping by. Check out bladezilla.ca for a lot of the knives that are featured on here to be available. And we're building up a pretty sweet little library of a bunch of Shiro videos on a playlist here. And I think we're over 20 videos on the Shirogorov world now, which is awesome. So still looking for the next brand to do that with, but it's going to take time. It's just me, myself, and I. So this is a lot of work for a labor of love for you guys. So anyway, that's it. That is the Shirogorov Quantum Ursus Blackwood. Appreciate you guys stopping by, and until next time, peace.